Greetings everyone, and I hope the collecting gods are smiling on you wherever you are. And welcome back to the channel for another quarter scale figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking an up close and personal look at Neca's quarter scale take on Eric Draven, aka Brandon Lee, as he appeared in the 1994 cult classic movie directed by Alex Proyas, The Crow. The review will take the usual well-trodden path. We'll have a quick look at the box, then it'll be over to the table to have a look at the lead guitarist of Hangman's Joke himself, and then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But before we get into it, shout out some background. Firstly, a massive shout out to everyone who's subscribed to the channel, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon. That way you'll be supporting an old man in his collecting dotage, and you won't miss any of the content that's coming up on the channel, and trust me, there's a hell of a lot of it. It's cost and pain free, so everybody wins. So background, The Crow first appeared in Caliber Comics back in 1989 and was created by James O'Barr, partly as a way of him dealing with the death of his fiancée at the hands of a drunk driver. And tragedy seems to have been no stranger to the character when Brandon Lee was killed on set of the now cult movie back in 1993 by an improperly prepared prop gun. Just days before the movie was due to wrap. On a personal note, I love the character, and I think we should just take a moment here, not only to remember James O'Barr's dead fiancée, but also Brandon Lee as well. I mean, and also take a moment to just imagine the world where Brandon Lee had actually lived and went on to play the character again, and we weren't subjected to the second-rate prequels, reboots and sequels. But that's enough of my rambling. Onto the box, and from the get-go I've got to say this figure is celebrating its birthday. It's not brand new to me. I've had it in the collection a long time, and it's officially 20 years old this year. Yep, this figure was made back in 2004, which probably makes this the oldest figure I have ever reviewed on the channel. Obviously it's not new to me. It's been stuffed back in the box for the for the purposes of this review, but we'll take a closer look at this box. Big box, obviously. It's a Neca quarter scale figure, and it's in that style that Neca were using around 2004 with their figures like the Hellraiser figures and their RoboCop figures. But we'll have a quick look at it. Straight away you can tell that the years haven't been kind to it. Particularly this, the window section at the front here has, the clear plastic has dimmed through the years. But what you've got on the front is obviously the clear plastic window showing the figure behind. You've got a shot of the figure itself here, half head size, which is the, obviously Eric Draven, it's Brandon Lee himself. Bottom right hand corner says Eric Draven, The Crow. Top right hand corner you've got 18-inch motion activated sound. There is a speaking function with this particular figure, which by some miracle still works today, but we'll take a look at that over when we go over to the table. Let's spin this thing round. I'm reaching in here because I am some distance away, so forgive me. As you can see, that half head actually is a full head and extends around the other side of the box. What you've got on the background there, I believe that's the church where he ends up in the final fight with the bad guy in the movie. It says Neca Real Toys, bottom left hand corner. We will bring it round to the back, and on the back you have a picture of the figure itself, very nicely taken photograph. Shot of a rainy graveyard there in the background. It says The Crow with the crow symbol in the top right hand corner. Bit of background about Eric Draven there. If you want to read that, please hit pause. And then the actual credits for the figure itself are actually printed on one of the gravestones here, as is Neca Real Toys again, which is a nice touch. And down at the bottom here we've got some up and coming stuff from Neca at that time. We'll bring it round to the other side. Other side's very simple. Once again, you've got a shot of the figure itself. You've got this lightning in the background, the crow on his shoulder, and it says motion activated sound. I'm not going to attempt to get this into the top and bottom of this box into shot. Well, I will. I'll have a try. It just says The Crow on the top there, and I believe all the usual warnings and all the usual warnings and bits and pieces. And on the bottom there, don't piss this figure off, or it might come back from the grave to wreak revenge. So there you have it, that's the box. So without further ado, let's go over to the table and have a close-up look at this guy. Okay, so here he is. It's Eric Draven, aka Brandon Lee himself, out of the box, onto the stand, onto the turntable, and first impressions I cannot give, as you know, because I've had this figure a long time. But even now, even on this, the occasion of his 20th birthday, I still think this figure looks very good indeed. The proportions look absolutely spot on. The outfit is nailed on. The screen accuracy is there. The head sculpt is good, bordering on very good. Yeah, just overall, it still stands up as a fantastic quarter scale figure today. So, but we'll do as we always do. We'll take a close-up look at him, and we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed there was no accessories section in this video, and that's because there's very little in the way of accessories. This is pretty much what you get. I suppose the only thing that you could class as an accessory with this one is the crow on his shoulder, but that pretty much stays attached at all times. But yeah, also as well, fair to point out at this stage as well, I've got him on a stand here. Now you can have this guy freestanding. This pose here, and pretty much is the one pose that you can go with. Really, we will cover that in articulation though. Is him stepping forward. Now he will stand on his own, but it's a precarious balance, and I wouldn't recommend it. He will topple over at the first glance, shall we say. But yeah, I'm using one of these large metal bases that you can pick up in most places for Neca quarter scale figures. So yeah, let's get him off the stand, because it's actually a waist grab of this stand, and get him into camera so we can have a close-up look. Now this is going to take a bit of finagling, and there goes the crow. He's dropped off. You have to lift him off. It's not the most stable thing, that crow on his shoulder, but we'll cover that, and we'll just pop this stand to one side a little bit so we can get a close-up look at this guy. Well, actually, we'll take a look at the crow itself, considering it's just decided to fall off. So yeah, the crow itself, now he will stand, as you can see. I'm going to freestand him here next, just while we take a look at the crow. He will do that, but as I say, it is very unstable, and the slightest touch on it will topple over. But yeah, this is the crow that goes on his shoulder. All one piece of sculpted plastic, very large and very nicely done considering its age. If you actually look at the detailing in there, the feathers are picked out individually. There's smaller ones, larger ones at the end there. The paint applications are very nice. It's relatively simple sculpt, but it's pretty effective. The feet are nicely done with this sort of orange colour, and there's some shading on there. The talons themselves are black, and you've got this one peg on the end here, which simply slots into his shoulder. It's got a bit loose over the years, and it's not the most stable in the world, but it'll stay in there if you give it a bit of a push. But yeah, so that's the crow itself. Let's bring in Eric Draven now. As I said, we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Now, interesting combination of materials on this one, and I'm having to hold this up quite high because of the size. Pretty much all of it is hard, solid plastic, including the arms themselves, the legs, the torso. The only thing really that's a variance to that is this overcoat, which is a thick, rubbery plastic. It's exceptionally thick, and it has stood the test of time incredibly well. As you can see, there is no flaking on here. There's no paint deterioration. There's no cracking, no splitting. It really has stood up well to the years. And considering the battery feature on this, which we will come to, that's no mean feat. But yeah, let's take a look at the bottom here. Now these boots, all one piece of solid sculpted plastic, relatively simple sculpt, but very effective. You've got these boots here with no laces in, with the tongues hanging down, which is screen accurate. They're jointed straight onto the end of the legs themselves. There's no forward or backward movement here. It's just simply a lateral movement, and they'll do a complete 360, as you can see. There's nothing on the bottom of these boots other than Neca's logo and his date of birth, 2004. But yeah, moving up to the legs. Now the legs, once again, these are all solid plastic, and you've got the trousers sculpted in there really nicely. There's crease work in there. The paint applications are really nice. You've got the detailing there, that strap detailing that he has on the thigh area, which has continued into the chest area. The articulation on these legs there's no articulation at the knee joint, none whatsoever. It's very limited in its articulation. There is some at the top of the legs, as you can see. You've got a little bit of a twist there, which really is not a huge amount, but just a little bit, so you can get more of a stepping forward motion. I'm not sure whether you can see that there, but and the same on the other leg. There's a little bit of twist in that, probably slightly more. So if you shift this one forward, you can see there's quite a bit of give in this one, in the right leg, not so much in this one. But yeah, you can actually position it so that the feet are wider apart or closer together. But it's pretty much been sculpted to replicate that stepping forward motion that we see in the posters. And we've seen several times in the movie where he's stepping forward with his arms outstretched. Back to this coat. Now this coat is, how can I put this? It's more of a waistcoat coat in materials, because the soft plastic runs all the way obviously around the back and over the shoulders, and the coat has the lapels and it has the bullet holes and the creasing in it, so it looks suitably battered. But the arms themselves are actually solid hard plastic, and I think Neca have done really well here, because essentially it's very difficult, unless you know what you're looking for, to see where the soft plastic ends and the hard plastic starts in these sleeves. But yeah, these, as I say, are all solid, as are the hands themselves. The hands are pegged in, so there is some rotation in the hands, but once again, there's limited articulation in the arms. The arms themselves move at the elbows, as you can see there, and they'll do a complete 360 and look very goofy. But as will the one elbow joint as well, which is slightly loose, but that's to be expected after 20 years. Yeah, you can, I suppose, if you wanted to do something like this, but it ends up looking a bit funky. And the way you actually know you've got it spot on is simply because the creases themselves, the creases in the shoulder area and in the elbow area, line up. So you know you've got it on point there, and so you're pretty much going to be going for one pose with this figure. It's the same with the with this other arm here. You've got that complete 360 rotation at the shoulder area, but the elbow itself also moves. But once again, if you go anything other than sort of there and there, anything off that is going to start to look a bit odd, because you're exposing flat areas of underneath the joints themselves. And yeah, it just starts to look all a bit funky. But yeah, those are the arms. Now, I mentioned at the top there, this thing has a motion sensor in it, and actually will turn out some dialogue from the film itself. Now, Neca went for an interesting, shall we say, choice on how to do this. I mean, there's a button on the back here, as you can see, and the speaker is actually quite well hidden in the battle damage on the back of the overcoat here, which is really nicely done, might I add. The sculpt in there is brilliant, with the creases going into the waistband. This waistband is overlaid in that same soft pliable plastic. But what you have to do to activate this, and there's a button lurking there if the camera's catching it, is you have to lift up this the whole of this coat. Now, I'm not going to attempt to do this on camera, because I mean, although it's been done several times and the coat has managed to withstand this, if I lift this up, and that's no mean feat, you can actually see at the back there the sculpt's really nice but you really have to pull this, and I can't. If you camera is catching that, there is a battery compartment hidden underneath there. Now, there's no cover on that, because I took the cover off and I've left it off, because you need to get a Phillips screwdriver in there and then insert 3 AA batteries, which is it is doable, but trust me, it is not the easiest thing in the world. And I think doing it repeatedly over the years might damage this. Now, I have swapped those batteries out on several occasions, and I haven't done that battery compartment, and there's been no real damage to this. But you know, the older it gets, the less inclined I am to actually attempt it. But we'll get him back on the stand so you can see that feature in action when we go for the roundup at the end. So yeah, there you have it. The body, at least. Let's take a look at this head sculpt now. I'm going to drop him down into the gap here and try and get him as close into camera as I can. Now, I've got to say, for 20 years old, this guy is standing up very well indeed. Let's start with this. They've even put the ring. Yeah, the ring is actually there, and it's on a piece of cotton around his neck. So yeah, you've got the ring. The detailing is nice. The head sculpt, I think, is very, very good. I think I might bring them some photographs at this point. Now, for the first few years of owning this, I thought there's something off about that head sculpt. I'm not sure what it is. Now, yes, admittedly, the paint applications are most certainly sort of give away its age. They're not the most sophisticated in the world, and there's a bit of a shine to that. But the eyes aren't what we'd expect from a modern figure. There's no glassiness there. But overall, the sculpt itself, I think, is very, very good. Although I always thought there was something slightly off about it, and I could never quite put my finger on what it was. I don't know whether I thought his face was ever so slightly too long. Those lips weren't full enough. Or the way the hair had been done sort of indicates far more sunken cheeks than he actually has. But I mean, from that angle, absolutely 100% that is Brandon Lee. And if I bring him round, there's just the occasional angle where it looks slightly off to me. I mean, the hair itself is all one piece of sculpted plastic, and they picked out the detailing really well. It's the right length, and so many times we see Crow figures where the hair isn't spot on. I've got the Hot Toys 1/6 scale version, and the hair is wrong on that. The hair here isn't wrong. And also as well, on the subject of the Hot Toys version, it is really good to see this coat done this way. This has lasted 20 years. I picked up a Hot Toys Crow, Eric Draven, and that pretty much didn't last 20 minutes, that coat, never mind 20 years. So yeah, props to Neca for that one. But yeah, let's take a look at some photos, just yeah, just so we can get an idea. It's difficult to find something that matches this, but yeah, maybe that one there at the bottom. I mean, they've got the makeup absolutely on point with the blackening around the eyes. Perhaps they've missed it a little bit. It doesn't go fully all the way into the eyes, as you can see underneath there, but the eyebrows are right. Maybe those dark markings, those points around the eyes, maybe a little bit too dark. There's another one there. I'm not sure if the camera's catching. I'll try and get this a little bit closer. The hair is absolutely the right length, just touching his shoulders, maybe slightly over his shoulders. But yeah, I would say it's a very, very good sculpt. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but I think as I said before, for a 20-year-old sculpt, that is pretty darn good. It really is. So yeah, we'll just put that down to one side and go in for final thoughts on this. We'll put him back on the stand, and yeah, I'm just lingering on this head sculpt because I think it is actually getting this close. I've not been this close to it for a while. I think it is very, very good indeed. It really is. I mean, it's some quality work here from Neca. So what we'll do, as I mentioned, is we'll finagle him back onto this stand, go in for final thoughts, and we'll just test out that voice activation thing that this figure has. And some waist grabber on this one that simply slots underneath underneath his, and we'll just fiddle with him to get him to stand correctly. And that should do it. Yeah, and we'll put the Crow back on. Now the Crow itself, as I mentioned, is simply there's a peg in the top of his shoulder there, and I'll just lean it forward so maybe you can see this. But yeah, you simply just find the hole there, apply a bit of pressure, and the Crow slots in. He's not, as I say, he's not the most stable in the world. I think time and it falling out has loosened it a little bit, but it's still in one piece, and with a little bit of work there and a bit of pressure, it will stay in. Just don't bounce him around too much, or the Crow itself will fall out. We'll get him back onto the stand there. Get him. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, let's just take a quick dive into these the novelty sound effects. It's not something I use, to be honest with you. As I say, I think it's more of a novelty than anything else. But yeah, the batteries are in, so you just flip that switch at the back, and I'll shut up. Now there's a motion sensor at the front here, so I'm going to wave my hand around like an idiot and try and get him to.
Mother is the name for God on the lips and hearts of
And I'm not quite sure how many phrases were there, and he's going to continue to talk to us, but I'm going to turn him off at the back there. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best sound quality in the world, and it's a novelty, I suppose, more than anything else, but it works, and the fact that it still works 20 years down the line, I think is amazing. So yeah, there you have it. That is Neca's quarter scale take on Eric Draven from The Crow, as played by Brandon Lee. Final thoughts on this one. I think it's a testament to Neca that 20 years down the line, this thing still is as impressive looking as it is, and is still as good as it is. I think the fact that Neca could do this 20 years ago, and we're sat here today looking at it going, yeah, that figure's okay. Yeah, it's wonderful. It really, really is. It's very, very simple. The articulation, I wouldn't say it's appalling. That's being harsh, but I mean, it's limited, shall we say. It's got its downsides. The choice of where you put that battery compartment, where Neca had placed that battery compartment, is completely beyond me. I mean, that was as if they sat down and thought, right, where is the toughest place we can possibly put it, and we'll go with that. I mean, you know, there are so many areas lower down in the body that they could have chosen. Yeah, right down into the to his lower back and bum area, but instead, no, they chose to put it in the highest point of the back, at the hardest place to get to. But I'm nitpicking here. As I say, it's not a function I use on a regular basis. But yeah, the paint applications, yes, they're dated. The sculpt, yes, it is dated, but it shows how good it was back in the day, and I just think it's a phenomenal piece. I love the original movie, love the character, and I think having this in the collection as a quarter scale representation of The Crow, I am really, really pleased about. So yeah, there you have it. Score out of 10. Now that's a tough one when we're looking at some of these older pieces, because what I tend to do in situations like this is to give two scores. One based on what we know today, and one based on what we knew back whenever the figure itself was made. I've not had this 20 years, but I've had it a long, long time. Had you put this in front of me 20 years ago, I would have instantaneously given it a 10. I wouldn't have even thought about it, and I would have been playing with the motion activated sounds all day. Put it in front of me now, possibly a 7 or an 8. That would be based on the articulation, paint applications and sculpt. But you know, I personally, on a personal note, being as unobjective as you can possibly be, I still give it a 10. What the hell? I think it's wonderful, and I love owning it. So yeah, there you go. That is Neca's. Let's get him spinning again. I'm sat here rambling on, and he's not spinning. So yeah, that's Neca's quarter scale take from on Eric Draven from the classic movie The Crow. So what are your thoughts on this piece? Do you have it in your collection? What do you think of Neca? What do you think of their quarter scale world? What do you think of The Crow? What do you think of the new movie? I would be fascinated to hear, particularly the new movie. Yeah, I'm holding my own court on opinions on that, but yeah, I would be fascinated to hear. So please drop a comment in the comment section below. I would be, as I say, fascinated to hear what you've got to say. And I suppose all it remains for me to say is, oh yeah, what's coming up on the channel? As always, I nearly missed it. Yeah. So in the quarter scale world, what have we got? In the quarter scale world, we have the Prime 1 Batman N52 statue. That's on its way to us. We have got the Prime 1 and Blitzway Paul Atreides statue. In the 110 scale world, we've got a raft of Neca Toys stuff coming in. I won't list all those, so we'll be here all night. In the 16 scale world, we have Baby Pool coming to us to complete the happy family of pools. We have got Caustic Plastics Horror of Dracula, the exclusive double pack. We have got a boatload of stuff coming from Premier Toys, including Furiosa and Dementis from Furiosa and Mad Max Saga. We've got the Doof Warrior deluxe pack coming from Mad Max Fury Road. Also from Premier Toys, the Interstellar double pack. From Susu Toys, we have got Blade 3. X06, we're going to be looking at Savick and Krug from Star Trek, although I know that they've been pushed back a little bit, so that might be a little bit later rather than sooner. And a raft of present toys stuff, including Ripley from Aliens, Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men, to name but a couple. I'm not going to go on because there's a hell of a lot more, but yeah, make sure you don't miss any of that good stuff that's coming up on the channel. Mash that subscribe button and bell notification icon. So yeah, all it remains for me to say is a massive thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this this retro review and unboxing. And from me, from the Crow, aka Eric Draven, take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase. Okay, so before we go over to the showcase, something that I completely forgot to mention in the previous section, and I put that down to old age and being a complete spoon, is the accessory that I've added to this figure. Now, if I spin this around and bring him a bit closer and you'll see this, I wanted to add a guitar to the back of this figure because I just think it gives it that extra bit of realism, that extra bit of screen accuracy and depth. And I found a really, really nice guy on eBay who specializes in manufacturing 1/6 scale guitars. Goes by the name of Sun and Air 2016, and I managed to get my hands on this. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice straight away this isn't screen accurate. It isn't the Honor Rockwood LX 100G Fender Strat knockoff that's used in the actual film itself. He didn't have one of those, but what he did have is this Gibson SG Custom, which is actually the guitar used by Tony Iommi in Black Sabbath, and even down to the custom fretboard here with the crucifixes on it. The work on this guitar is absolutely superb, down to the fishing wire strings. The paint applications are absolutely spot on. The materials used are fantastic. That high gloss black paint is wonderful. And really, I think, although not, as I say, 100% screen accurate, I think it really, really sets the figure off perfectly and just gives it that extra bit of dimension, depth, and if not 100% screen accuracy, then but I just like it. I think it's a great look. So yeah, that's the guitar that you'll see on his back in the showcase that's coming up. And so for the second time of asking, it's over to the showcase.